People ask me sometimes, how do you do this? And I say, not alone. Not alone. And I just want to say that to all of you here this afternoon. This is a journey that you undertake with people at your side. And I wrote a book recently, and I dedicated it to my staff and volunteers. And I know so many of you are active volunteers. I just want to share with you what that dedication is. It says, to my staff and volunteers who often walk behind me, but who I always know lead the way. And that's really an important part of this Senate race for me, is making sure that we are creating the kind of movement that's going to help us win all the time, everywhere. Because we need to get a little more greedy about what we want to accomplish, because the stakes are so high. It's true, I am a single mom. The San Francisco Chronicle called me Congress's single mom, to which I do not want responsibility for some of those people. But I am raising 3 lightly supervised children. They are getting a little bit older, which means they need even less supervision. But they are now 17, 15, and 11. And they too have been on this journey with me. They are of mixed views of my run for the Senate, because if I lose, they get a dog. So I'm not sure I'm going to get my oldest son's vote, but I'm still working on it. I wanted to talk with you a little bit about oversight and why I'm so committed to it, and why I think it's such an important thing for Democrats to lean into. And then I want to talk a little bit about the Senate race with you, and try to address what I think is probably the biggest question on a lot of your minds. So with regard to oversight, it's true, I really love oversight. So I applied to the California DMV and could not believe that nobody had the license plate already, OVRSITE. That is my license plate on my minivan, Oversight. And let me tell you, I should have thought it through a little bit, because when that's your license plate, you have to drive so carefully. Like every turn signal, and it's also, everybody knows who it is. So I really have sharpened my driving skills. But I want to talk about what oversight means to me. For me, it's about being a watchdog. A watchdog for our budget, a watchdog for our tax dollars, a watchdog for our pensions and retirement, a watchdog for patients, for workers, for consumers. And this duty, I know when people think about Congress, they often don't think about oversight. They think about speeches, they think about legislation, and those things matter too. But without oversight, we don't get to where we actually want to be. It's not about what politicians announce at press conferences. It is not about what the law says on paper. It is about what really happens in people's lives. And oversight is about closing that gap. We have laws that say you can't bust unions in this country, and we have union busting going on. We have laws that say you can't cheat people, and we have a lot of consumers getting ripped off. We have laws saying you have to pay your employees, and yet we have folks dealing with wage theft every day in this country. So oversight is really about making our government deliver on its promises. If we pass a law saying we're going to do something, it should do it in real people's lives on a consistent basis in an even-handed way. And if it isn't, we have to be willing to hold ourselves to account, to go back to the drawing board, to dump bad ideas, to double down on good ones. And this duty to do oversight, it doesn't change, it doesn't waver, depending on which party is in power. It's the most bipartisan thing, actually, I can think of. When President Biden is trying to deliver his agenda, how much more can I help him than reporting back where it's not working, than saying this is not happening yet? What about this? We didn't think about this, and now we have real people getting hurt. So Republican is definitely more fun to question Republican. Trump. There's no Ben Carson. Nobody will ever again confuse a real estate term with a chocolate sandwich cookie. The Oreo thing, people are like, how did you prepare for that? And I was like, you can't prepare for stupid. Like, you think I wrote out, like, and if he says chocolate sandwich cookie, respond with this. You just have to, I think as a professor, people think you always like your A students better. How many of you thought that? Like, the teachers like the A students. I have to confess, to every kid, every law student who ever showed up hungover or ill-prepared, That is what I needed to get ready for Congress. Because that is what I sometimes get. An awful lot of I don't knows. An awful lot of could you repeat the question? An awful lot of just blinking and hoping that I move on. So I'm really proud of this reputation that I have for oversight. And one of the things I've asked myself, I've been in Congress only 5 years, is why isn't everyone doing more of this? Clearly, people appreciate this. Clearly, people watch these hearings, or will watch them if you make them even remotely interesting or accessible. Why aren't more people going toe-to-toe in these hearings? And I think the answer when you look under the hood of our government is that there are too few people who are willing to shake up Washington. There's too much dependence on corporate PAC money. There is too much dependence on get along to go along, and there's not enough fight. And at this moment, given what is at stake in this country, we need fighters. I am the only candidate in this Senate race who has never taken corporate PAC money. I was also the highest Democratic fundraiser in the House of Representatives last cycle. So when you hear people say, we have to take the money from big oil, we have to take the money from big pharma, otherwise we just can't win, that is bullshit. Sorry for these little people. That really is not true. I am one of 11 members of Congress. 11? Who doesn't take federal lobbyist contributions. I told lobbyists, I'll meet with you. They're like, but you don't take our money. I said, do you have anything to say? Like, bring a big idea, not a big check. That's how it should work. The American people do not believe that you can be sipping bad Chardonnay and eating cheese cubes and collecting corporate cash at 7 o'clock at night and forgetting every bit of that at 10 a.m. when you take a tough vote. They don't believe it, and they shouldn't believe it from what I've seen in Washington. So part of what this Senate campaign is about resetting how Democrats win, how Democrats do business, and how we build our majority for years to come. And I think oversight and willingness to hold our own party to account is really an important part of that. We are not going to grow the Democratic Party. We are not going to bring young people and people of color into trusting the Democratic Party and engaging with us, particularly in a post-Trump world, if we don't earn their trust. And to do that, we have to change what we've been doing. And so I think the oversight piece, the no corporate PAC piece, the congressional stock trading ban, that didn't get passed under Kevin McCarthy. That also didn't get passed under Nancy Pelosi. You can't point the finger at each other there, because the truth is there's a problem on both sides with regard to holding ourselves to account and cleaning up government. And so I'm really committed to doing that in this race, and then as a leader for California.